Good afternoon, Ms. Trina.
Good afternoon.
Before we begin our meeting, any good things that we need to report on?
Thanksgiving break is coming up, and it's one of my favorite holidays.
All right. Good. So, to start off the meeting, what TEK are we going to be talking about today?
7.10b.
Okay, can you go ahead and read it for me?
Yes, it is develop drafts into a focused, structured, and coherent piece of writing by organizing with purposeful structure, including an introduction, transitions, coherence within and across paragraphs, and a conclusion, and developing an engaging idea reflecting depth of thought with specific facts, details, and examples.
Good. So I see that you came with exemplars of both student work of low, medium, and high. Before we look at that, I want us to go ahead and break down a know what the students should know and what the students show to match that sheet. So a know show chart. So let's go ahead and begin with the know. What do the students need to know to master this TEK?
They need to know the steps of the writing process, how to organize their thoughts, what a thesis is and how to create one, how to write a paragraph with correct grammar, punctuation, and spelling.
That would be more of a show. So I'm going to add to the show because they're going to show that they're going to show it by writing it. So what do they need to know maybe to create a paragraph?
How many sentences make up a paragraph?
Okay, so like structure, sentence structure and paragraph structure. Okay, so I was going to go to the show. What are the students can show, or how can they show that they've mastered this TEK?
They can show it by deconstructing the prompt, changing it into a question.
Okay.
Using a graphic organizer for brainstorming. Write a strong thesis. They would show an outline with the information that goes in the correct paragraph. And then the draft.
Okay. Good. All right. So since we have your exemplar right here, and as we look and compare, let's go ahead and compare between the student exemplars versus the low and medium to high one. Okay, so I already looked at them. Can you go ahead and compare them as well, and we can kind of see what is the gap between the low and the high.
So my high student did all of the steps correctly. I see her question for the prompt is clearly stated at the top. She used a graphic organizer for brainstorming. I see that she has a topic in the middle and then her ideas spread out in the web. Then she also created a thesis after that. She even boxed it for me so I could see it. Then on the back she created her outline, labeled the correct paragraphs. I see the intro, paragraph 1, 2, and her conclusion. So she did all of the steps correctly, and it looks like she was able to organize her thoughts through this process. As for my low student, we got as far as the brainstorming map. In the center, she just restated the prompt instead of changing it into a question. So it looks like we need to revisit how to deconstruct the prompt and turn that into a question so that she can come up with better ideas to fill in her brainstorming. And then she just didn't complete the outline or the draft.
Okay,
or
so
thesis either.
so the main, I guess, misconception between the low one and the high one is that what?
My low student is lacking the writing process itself. She just remembered brainstorming, but she is struggling still with organizing her thoughts.
Okay, okay. So for reteaching this, how would you reteach this TEK again to make sure that the students master it?
Well, for my low students, they're all clumped in the same class. And so I would reteach by guided lesson. So I would have a new prompt, and then walk through the process. Modeling, and walk through the process by showing them how to do it properly. And so that way they can see how I think, or how the process is when you are thinking about the prompt and then putting your ideas down on paper. For my mid and high students, I would do guided lessons and just kind of reinforce that quality of writing and making sure that we have strong examples for our supporting ideas.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I'm glad you caught that too as well. I think for the students that hardly mastered the TEK, I think modeling would be a lot better strategy than versus the guiding. Because for the modeling, like how you said, you can go ahead and use your thought process and break down exactly how you would create your outline and your thesis so the students will understand it. And then guided will be perfect too for the ones that are in the middle, or the ones that, like you said, need to kind of TEK or kind of tighten their skills to where they'll be able to chime in and go ahead and fill in the rest as you do your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the low ends and for the modeling one, let's go ahead and script kind of a real fast intro of the lesson to kind of how you would reteach, or how would you model the main part of this.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you a prompt?
Yes.
Okay. So a prompt that I have would be explain why dogs make good pets. And so I would show this to them on the board. And so I would get them talking about dogs and the prompt, and then I would tell them, okay, the first step is deconstruct the prompt. So let's think about how we can deconstruct this prompt. How would we change this into a question? So our question word is pretty much already provided for us in the prompt. So we were going to use that why. We're going to change it to why are dogs good pets? So I have my question. So okay, so now I can answer this question. This is much easier to answer than to start thinking about a prompt with the word starting with explain. So now that we have it into a question, we can answer it with our responses. So I'm going to make my brainstorming map, have my question in the middle, and then I'll let them start shouting out answers, and I'm going to fill in my own answers. They provide protection, they are fun to play with, they come in different sizes, they provide services, they run fast, they're fun to hang out with, or I can take them to the park, whatever it is. And so I'll fill in these ideas, including my own, and then we're going to look at all of our ideas on our brainstorming map, and then we're going to star what we think our strongest ideas are going to be, and then those are going to be what we include in our thesis and in our paper, because we're not going to include all of these ideas, but we just want to get all of our ideas out on paper and then pick out our strongest ones that will create a strong thesis for us. So if I have my ideas out, I'm going to star they provide protection and they provide services. Okay, so now thesis, that's our next step. So I would have to revisit what thesis is and the parts that make up a thesis. And so I'd have to re-explain that this is going to include our claim and our premise. And I'm going to break this down by explaining what claim means and explaining what premise means so that they understand the parts that make up a thesis. And then we'll make our thesis together. Dogs make good pets because they provide services and protection. And then I'm going to ask them, why is that a good thesis? And we're going to talk about how our thesis is not weak because we didn't say, well, I think that dogs make good pets because, or in my opinion. All of those weaken our thesis, so I want to reinforce that this is also a strong thesis because I'm just stating it. Although it's an opinion, I'm stating it as a thesis by including my two premises saying that they provide services and protection, because that's hard to argue. So that's why this makes a great thesis.
Okay, good. Like the reteach, the only suggestion that I would have is to, for the students that maybe are not as engaged with the prompt, I would maybe give a variety of different prompts, or maybe allow them to pick their own prompt. Maybe the one that they find interested in, and so it'll be kind of easier for them to give examples, and also easier for them to construct a thesis. But other than that, it looks good, and I'll be excited to see what the student results will be after your reteach.
Thank you.